And I have to say, just looking at him right now, Caelan Chin is giving him a lot to think about, maybe giving him a slight headache, might choose to do it this time round down the right. Oh, he got him so slowly there, did that man Bradbury, and that's cost him massively, because Caelan Chin has moved up. Another man who's looking for a move this time is Flavio Dantas, who finds a gap, 3 wide, into the next right. Wowee, what a swing back. Ready for the start of this race, first light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal, go, 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 here in Austria, and Jarno Opmeer leads them around turn 1 in behind Prattle Statulek, being joined by Wilson Hughes, the man from PlayStation, whittling his way through. Can he get ahead of the Red Bull?
Well, welcome to the very first edition of Commentator's Corner. Here with me, Alex Goldschmidt, and I'm welcoming along someone who is not so new to the scene, but has literally made his imprint on it. It's the man that says "go" more times than Murray Walker. Wales' own very own George Morgan joins me. George, good to see you, buddy. Firstly, how are things?
Not bad, Alex. Not bad at all. I'd like to say a massive thank you for having me on your podcast as well. Thank you.
Yeah, which is being broadcasted on my dedicated YouTube channel. And I'm not going to do the usual. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is about, if you want to like it, it's fine. If you want to subscribe to it, it's fine. This is going to be an ongoing thing. Now, George, really, a lot of people know you from I think it's PSGL and WOR with a lot of the F1 leagues. But you've recently signed with Gemma Scott and Louise Beckett at the Loudspeaker agency, which was a lot of big news. You're now working alongside Lewis McGlade, Ben Constantinos on the VCO Pro Sim series, which is just had its second round. Things are on an upward curve for you, aren't they?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, upward trajectory for sure. It's been a fun time. Obviously, been doing this now for a good 3 years. At least, and it's been really fun. I've enjoyed every moment. I mean, I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun with PSGL and WOR and expanded on what was already a very vibrant league racing community and scene. And to have the opportunity to then work with Gemma and Louise at Loudspeaker was, something that was sort of pulled together naturally. And then. And it's amazing now to be doing the VCO Pro Sim series. I mean, far beyond what this Welshman thought he ever deserved, to be honest.
Well, it just goes to show that if you've got the passion, the motivation, the intestinal fortitude, are 2 words that I like to say, to go for it and live your dream. As they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. But how did you actually get involved with regards to commentary? It was mainly from an esports perspective, am I right?
Yes, correct. I mean, to be honest with you, I've been a Formula One fan since 1996 anyway. So, I always had an interest in the sport, but it wasn't until, I would say, 2016 where I became aware of the fact that there was online league racing and things like that using the F1 game and other games for that matter. I got wrapped into it with my friends and started racing with my friends online, which was always a lot of fun. You'd meet up on, say, for example, a Friday night and or a Monday night and just do it exactly like you would if you were part of a darts team or you were part of a, your local football club. You would show up and get together, have a laugh with your mates. Unfortunately, my driving skills on a sim at that time weren't very good, so I wasn't as quick. Don't get me wrong, I could find my way around a circuit, but I found that my friends were distinctly quicker than me. So I turned around to them and said, look, is there anything else I can do? They said, why don't you commentate? So I started commentating, and that was where it all started. And it's sort of just progressed ever since that point, and just kept on going. So yeah, it was. I quickly learned that I enjoyed it. That's for sure.
Yeah, you said about 1996, the year where the legend, the late Murray Walker, said, "I've got to stop right now because I've got a lump in my throat." The very pivotal words when Damon Hill won his world title that year at Suzuka. And I think we all as commentators have a lot of respect for the man that really brought Formula One to the masses when he was partnered with the likes of James Hunt, James Allen, Martin Brundle amongst his commentary years right up until the early 2010s, when he even made some segues over to Australia's supercars back at that point. But apart from Murray, are there any particular commentators that really, really inspire you to carry on and improve? Because we as commentators, sometimes we don't like listening to the sound of our own voice, and I'm one of those people. But to understand the amount of work that goes into being a commentator, I mean, there's a lot of preparation. We've got to know our statistics. We've got to know drivers. We talk to them regularly, either whether it's via WhatsApp or Discord, by any of the social media platforms that people use. Who really has sort of stood out to you and been an inspiration to you apart from Murray?
Oh, there's plenty, and I think not just motorsport, but across other sports as well. I was deeply infatuated by the horse racing commentator Peter O'Sullivan. From the the echelons of horse racing for years. My family have been involved in horse racing for many years, and had horses and competed. So Peter O'Sullivan for me was one of my favourites. Going on from that, football, Peter Drury was always a big name, as well as John Motson. John Motson for me is
Motty with the sheepskin coat. Yeah,
yeah, he for me is a legend of the commentary world. But I mean, I'm a big fan of the current ones as well. I mean, David Croft is a great one for Formula One. Alex Jakes, big fan of Alex Jakes, of course, who's making his mark in the world of Formula One now as well on Channel 4. So, I think we've got a huge abundance nowadays of truly amazing commentators, but we always look back and respect those that have been there as well. Plenty that have now, I would say, I suppose, have metaphorically passed the torch on to the new guys that are coming through. And it's amazing. We're so lucky, I think, in the UK in that regard.
Well, we're very much loved across. Whenever I travel over to continental Europe, I mean, the amount of people that go, like when I say, like the traditional one-liners, like he's shot off into the distance like a rat up a drain pipe, or like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof. The overseas, they tend to like our Freudian slips or our nuances with what we say when we explain something, and they go, so what does it mean? It's like, well, he's got away into the distance, hasn't he? It's so like, literally, if you've got a scalded cat, you've got a hot tin roof, literally the cat's going to go from one roof to another. And then when you explain it to them, they get the understanding, and then they start laughing because they go, we'd never thought, there's nothing in our language that really sort of equates that. And then, but they do have their own sort of colloquialisms like we do. I mean, are there any particular one-liners that you normally bring out to the party, George, when you're fully immersed and you're at full chat?
There's a couple. I would say that the big one is obviously my race start, the one I use. Obviously, I think it's pretty clear that Murray Walker has a huge, I'd say, inspiration to that. But there's another one as well that I use whenever a car is close together with another and the gap is minimal in terms of delta. I always say the gap is thinner than a fly's eyelash, which is actually conned from Sid Waddell, the old darts commentator, and it's incredible. Honestly, I looked at Sid Waddell. That's another one I failed to mention. He is also a truly inspirational name that I loved growing up as well. But yeah, those are a couple of the main ones that I can think of.
So already in the first 8 minutes of this conversation, we've talked darts, we've talked football, we've talked horse racing. So I bet you love it when the dart players step up to the oche. I bet you're a bit of a fan of the PDC and the BDO and that kind of stuff as well. Same here.
Huge fan.
Same here. I mean, Crofty even does occasional swan songs on Sky Sports whenever they need him for the World Championships. I mean, are there any other particular sports that you're into? Obviously, with the family lineage being in horse racing, but apart from the darts, maybe the footy. Are you a bit of because Wales is very, very, and this is not being a stereotypical question, because it's very. I have family in Penarth in South Wales, and they're both big rugby fans. So they're always at the Millennium Stadium whenever there's an opportunity to go and see a match. Are you one of those people as well?
Yeah, I went to go and watch Wales. This was before COVID. I watched Wales versus Australia in a in the summer test matches that they had over at the Millennium Stadium, which was really enjoyable. And I always tend to watch the Six Nations. You know, it tends to be a bit of a, you know, I don't know a Welsh person around who doesn't watch the Six Nations. Do you know what I mean? Because it's such a focal point and obviously a proud. It holds proud heritage, I think, for Welsh people, because it's one of the most successful competitions we've been part in the modern era of rugby. So we always tune in for that, and obviously the World Cup as well. Which, to be honest with you, I think we have a certain quality as a side that I believe is capable of winning a World Cup in the future. I'd be very surprised if one day that doesn't happen. But another couple of sports that take my fancy as well. I am known to go and watch the Cardiff Devils play ice hockey as well. So I go and watch that. So I tend to tune into the NHL as well in terms of now and again I do watch the odd bit of ice hockey, but I'm also a basketball fan as well, because I used to play that in school as well. So I and I play the NBA games as well on my consoles. I'm a big fan of that too. I would say I'm probably a generic sports person. I enjoy my sport, and I enjoy playing. I enjoy playing as much as I enjoy watching. Which is quite nice. I also play golf as well in my spare time. I play golf and do all sorts of different things. I ran a football club, as well, a local football team, which I built myself from scratch. Ran that for approximately 6 years, which was a lot of fun as well. So it was, I like to think I'm a sports person really, rather than I'd say side roaded into one solitary sport itself. I mean, Formula One for me in motorsport, it's great, and it's my preference for commentary because I love it in that sense. I don't think I could. I think there might be different sports that I might find difficult to cross over, but certainly I've made myself available, certainly through Loudspeaker side of things, to do football, darts, horse racing, and those sorts of sports, because I think the way I commentate, I think it certainly does aid those kinds of sports, if you get me. I think it suits me in that light,
Yeah. Now, as part of my research for Commentator's Corner, I have to look through people's social media platforms. Your Twitter page, which is at George Morgan TV, November the 6th. It's true, because the T-shirt said so. World's best sports commentator. That image is now on the screen, as you can see between the pair of us. What? How on earth did you procure that beauty then?
That was a gift last Christmas from my mum and dad. They got me that for Christmas, and it was not. Yeah, don't get me wrong. My parents have always been very encouraging in anything I do. To be honest with you, since I was a youngster, they would get me to, I'd be performing in school plays. I would do any public performance. I was a performer, I think, growing up. So
an extrovert, so to speak, then a bit like myself, doing amateur dramatics, singing away when the mood took you, that kind of stuff. I completely relate to that, because I used to do amateur dramatics. I used to, for those that don't actually know, I actually performed for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II at the Royal Albert Hall. Now, this is me showing my age, 1991.
Wow.
Yeah. For those that don't already know, yes, I'm 44 years of age. I don't look it because, thank goodness, the beard has been trimmed down, so the grey hairs are not sort of showing on the camera.
I won't tell you the year I was born, though. You've probably already found that.
No, to be honest with you, I haven't. I know that you're born on January the 31st, which is fine. That's all I need to know. I'm not going into people's ages or anything. This is about having a giggle here, isn't it, George? On Commentator's Corner.
Yeah.
We're here to have a bit of fun, because the thing is that we work so hard behind the scenes and on the mic and in front of the camera that people don't really get to know the true us, do they?
No, I think when you're so set in, I think your job as such. I mean, I always say that my commentary is an extension of myself. I mean, I've always been a bit of a bubbly person, an excitable person. I think that pretty much is shown through my commentary, I think. But at the end of the day, if you have a passion for a sport, or you love a sport, you have no problem shouting and screaming about it. You're just basically giving off your impressions and your enthusiasm for what you enjoy doing, just in a public domain. And I find that a very easy thing to do myself, because it's natural and it's true, pretty much. I think that is probably the long and short story of it.
It's very much like the sound bites that you're doing on Twitter now as well. When like November the 1st, Mexican Grand Prix 2016, where controversy in the dying laps as Red Bull's Max Verstappen fends off Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel. And believe you me, guys, go and give this man a follow, please. This is the whole point. This is to help people understand what we do and what we love to do. I mean, how did that all come about? Because it's a very different take, but you're bringing your own spin to it, George, and it's really quite refreshing.
Well, do you know what? I'd be lying if I said it was all my idea. But I mean, I have a lot of people who tend to say, through my work in league racing, and you get, as you get comments off people saying, you should be doing Sky Sports F1, you should be doing F1 commentary. So I thought to myself, well, they're not likely going to turn around and offer me a job straight off the bat. So why did I do something myself just to appease the people who are watching? It might be a bit of fun, and at the same time interesting to see what it sounds like. You know what I mean? I'm that sort of a guy. I'm able to produce content off my own back, and graphics as well. I'm quite happy doing, in my own way. I mean, I'm not saying I'm brilliant at it, but I get by. And I'm able to create little waveform, like radio style waveforms as well, which is great, using After Effects and different things. So yeah, I just started putting these little clips together of F1 races that have happened, and put my own spin on it, and basically say what I see, pretty much, which essentially is what a play-by-play commentator does. So yeah.
I mean, obviously now that you're part of the crew at VCO with the Pro Sim series, to work alongside one of the most recognised voices in sim racing, Lewis McGlade, VCO Simi Award winner from last year, and also Ben Constantinos, who has done quite a bit, World Rallycross, for a DTM. I think he's done everything and anything. What's it like working with them, just to give the people at home an understanding? Because it must be it's really cool, because seeing you guys like literally on the stream, all in your shirts, Lewis bringing out the red ties as well, just to bring a bit more, trying to outdo everybody. It's quite nice. You all sort of like, seeing you all together. What's the camaraderie been like since you joined the Pro Sim series as a commentator?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sound a lot like Roy Keane here, but I've got a lot of respect for Roy Keane, right? And I'm not a Man United fan, but I do like Roy Keane, and certainly what he does on Sky. And he always talks about good characters, and how it's important to have teammates that you can sort of raise the bar for each other, I suppose, and work together and enjoy what you're doing as well. And honestly, whenever I get into a lobby with those guys, or a voice chat, or have a conversation with them, we always have a light-hearted conversation before we get into it. Of course, we're all business as well. We know what we have to do. VCO have an agenda to achieve, and we ensure that we give the audience the best possible experience that we can. But working with so many successful talents, the likes of Ben, obviously Arjuna as well is a very highly acclaimed commentator who does a lot of great work with Race Spot, and an excellent producer as well in his own right. Lewis McGlade, as you say, VCO Simi Award winner. He's not a VCO Simi Award winner for no reason. He's very, very accomplished, and very, very good at what he does. And the banter that we have is great. We try and share it as well with the viewers when we can. But at the same time, we've got to have our minds on the job as well, which I think we do achieve quite well. And I think the first 2 rounds of VCO have been a lot of fun, and at the same time, really interesting. And I think the audience are enjoying it as well.
Yeah, I've been watching along. To be honest with you, the chemistry between all 4 of you is absolutely brilliant. I have to say a big hello to my good friend, VCO CEO Florian Hasper. Know that he's doing a brilliant job with trying to push esports forward, and VCO being one of the many organizations that are doing so. But one final question. I know this is a bit, we're going to wrap these up within 20, 30 minutes, but George, The final big question here on Commentator's Corner, your ultimate broadcasting dream. And you've already alluded to it a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, I think without a doubt, it's Formula One. I want to get there. Anyone does. I mean, everyone has a right to have a dream. Everyone has a right to want to pursue something that they have a passion and determination for. Formula One, for me, if I was to get to that point, it would mean the world. And I would say probably that would be a bit like how Frodo went to Mordor to destroy the ring.
You know what? I like. We've had a Roy Keane analogy. Now we're getting J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, to sort of round.
This is a cultured conversation.
That's the thing. We pick from so many different sources. Like mine will be like from, like musical references. Like say I'll use Europe's immortal line. It is the final countdown because it fits. And it's like with, like you're saying with Frodo going to Mordor, it's just one of those things that we as commentators, we have a life outside our workplaces, George, don't we? And like you say, you want to reach Formula One, and I think you've got the tools to make that happen, buddy.
Yeah, well, you're very, very kind words from you, Alex, to be honest with you. I mean, I always say to people, because trust me, I get some lovely comments. I get some lovely people who pop in the DMs on a regular basis. And I always make a point of replying to every single person.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important that everyone gets the time, because at the end of the day, they're investing their time in listening to me. So, and it's nice to have these conversations. You also get to hear from people who have opinions on the sport, and you might learn something from it. And I take a lot of, I enjoy talking to people because I think it's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And at the same time, maybe get inspired as well. So, I think it's very important.
Yep. Well, that's it for the first edition of Commentator's Corner. George Morgan, thank you very much. You've been an awesome guest. And hopefully we'll have you back on here when things have gone up a bit more on the upward trajectory, let's say.
Oh, no, you're well on your way there already, Alex. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it. So that's it from us here at Commentator's Corner. Big thank you to George for coming on board. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. See you next time.